On our way to Glacier, we stayed overnight at this picturesque farm. Glacier National Park was one of Diana's bucket list locations, but at first glance, when we entered the park, it was a disappointment because the glaciers are receding at a remarkable rate. They say that the hundreds of glaciers will be gone in the next 10 years. After reviewing our hundreds of photos and videos, I really don't feel disappointed at all. There was an abundance of wildlife, beautiful mountain vistas, alpine lakes and valleys, deep canyons, and an abundance of year-round waterfalls due to the annual 40 feet of snowmelt that occurs all through the summer. We sampled a few of the 700 miles of hiking trails as well. The star attraction is the Going to the Sun Road that goes across the center of the park east to west and through the Logan Pass in the center. If you enter from the West Glacier, you would need a timed entry pass. That is very difficult to obtain because of the short season and a lot of crowds. This road is closed and impassable in the winter, so there are usually crowds to contend with, even though the rest of the park is open year-round. We opted to stay half of our visit near the east entrance in the town of St. Mary's, where we could enter at any time with no reservation needed. St. Mary's is also much closer to the Many Glacier area and the Two Medicine area, which we also visited. Vehicles over 21 feet long and 10 feet high are prohibited from the Going to the Sun Road because they would not be able to navigate the switchback turns and the low rock overhangs. Our RV traveled around the outside of the park to get from east to west. We were finishing the Hidden Lakes Trail when we noticed a crowd of people shouting and pointing and waving their arms at us. When we turned to see what they were pointing to, we spotted a mama grizzly bear and her 2 cubs only 50 yards behind us, crossing the trail we had just walked not 60 seconds earlier. Free-range cattle in the middle of the road in the 2 Medicine area. This is their country too. Waterton Lakes Provincial Park is adjacent to Glacier, directly across the Canadian border to the north. There are numerous signs noting the park's partnership between the USA and Canada. Waterton Lakes has a different feel than the neighboring USA Glacier, with less of the actual icy glaciers, less elevation, and noticeably less mountainous terrain. If you haven't done so already, give us a like, thumbs up, and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and see you on the next adventure.